How does G-Funk incorporate funk samples? If you're a fan of hip-hop and curious about how G-Funk brings that classic funk vibe into its sound, you're in the right place. Let's break down how G-Funk incorporates these funk samples. G-Funk, which emerged in the early 1990s on the West Coast, is heavily influenced by the 1970s funk sound, particularly from groups like Parliament-Funkadelic, also known as P-Funk. One of the key ways G-Funk incorporates these funk samples is through direct sampling or re-recording of P-Funk tracks. For instance, artists like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg often use samples from P-Funk songs in their albums. Dr. Dre's album The Chronic and Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style are prime examples of this. These samples were not just copied and pasted. They were often re-recorded with live musicians to give the tracks a fresh, original sound. This approach allowed artists to create music that was both nostalgic and new. G-Funk producers would typically use fewer, unaltered samples per song compared to other rap acts. Instead of layering multiple samples, they would focus on a few key samples and build the track around them. This minimalistic approach helped maintain the integrity of the original funk sound while still making it sound contemporary. The sampling process often involved taking specific elements like bass lines, drum patterns, or synthesizer riffs from classic funk tracks. For example, the high-pitched portamento saw wave synthesizers or lead, a hallmark of G-Funk, was frequently sampled from P-Funk songs. These elements were then integrated into the G-Funk tracks to create that distinctive slow-tempo sound. Another important aspect is the use of live instrumentation. Dr. Dre, a pioneer of G-Funk, would often have live musicians replay the original music from sampled records. This method ensured that the music had its own unique sound rather than just being a direct copy of the sample. The influence of funk samples in G-Funk also extended to the overall sound and feel of the music. The genre is characterized by multi-layered and melodic synthesizers, slow hypnotic grooves, a deep bass, and heavy use of the snare drum. Background female vocals were also a common feature, adding to the laid-back California vibe that G-Funk is known for. In summary, G-Funk incorporates funk samples by carefully selecting and re-recording elements from classic funk tracks, using live musicians, and blending these samples into their music to create a unique and distinctive sound that has become iconic in hip-hop history.